Hello and welcome to another 2 Network match report with me, Adam. It's finished at Wembley, literally just seconds ago. It's finished Spurs 1, Newcastle United 0. It's been another defeat, but there's plenty to be encouraged about from that performance because, you know, after that first half performance, we really probably should have been ahead, and we had them on the ropes for quite a lot of that first half, particularly, and it was only an absolutely spectacular finish from Harry Kane that's taken them ahead of us, and they've gone home happy with 3 points. But I think I've seen plenty in the last 90 minutes from Newcastle United to suggest that we can really have a go at Chelsea in the last game of the season, simply and also because Chelsea have drawn with Huddersfield, which means that they qualify for the Europa League, so that Chelsea literally have nothing else to play for. Conte might want to finish on a high, but Rafa Benitez will absolutely want to finish on a high as well, given that we've lost the last 4 games. So it was encouraging, and there's plenty to be positive about, despite, you know, you might have just been, those of you who didn't manage to watch it, you might have just been checking updates, but we really did play well, and there was a lot of good performances out there, and it shows that we're not fizzling out, we're not going out with a whimper at the end of this season, and rightly so, because Rafa deserved a performance like this tonight, despite not getting even a point. I think, on reflection, a draw would have been a very fair result, but it wasn't to be. But anyway, the lineup was pretty much back to basics and what Rafa had been used to over the last couple of months. I mean, the last game against Watford, Richie and Nedlin were dropped for Murphy and Manquillo. They were swapped around again, so it was Richie and Nedlin back in, and it was as you were everywhere else on the side. Kennedy's last appearance, potentially, in a Newcastle shirt, given that he's going to be ineligible to play against his parent club, Chelsea, at the weekend. Spurs' main threat came from being able to have, I mean, they've got such a wealth of talent and very technical players. You look at Son, you look at Eriksen, you look at Ali. They've got great close control, even Lamela when he came on later. And they look to play sort of in our box and on the edge of our box, and it was dangerous because our defenders had to concentrate very hard and not to give away any daft penalties. But obviously the talent that they have, they're able to hold the ball and hold possession inside the opposition half, and it's so difficult for defenders because the longer that the opposition has the ball in the half, in the opposition box, the more likely they have of getting a shot away and a shot in the box, and more likely that we might foul them and make a mistake. Fortunately, in the first half that didn't happen, but you could see how they were going to approach. What strategy they were going to use, and just sort of play around and tinker and wait for an opportunity to unleash a shot. But we stood firm and very disciplined in the first half, and actually Spurs were playing with a very high line, and given that Wembley is quite a big pitch, we suddenly started finding joy on the break, and using the pace and movement, the mobility of Gale and Perez up front, as we have done in other games. I mean, but what it reminded me of was the Southampton game at home, where we beat them 3-0, but Shelvey kept knocking long balls up, asking questions of the defenders, and they were struggling. And this sort of happened again. I mean, Shelvey played a lot more long balls in the second half, asking the questions, but we were able to actually get the ball down and play a bit of football. We got a lot of joy down the right hand side, and Richie and Yedlin were really sort of in amongst it, but it was Perez who had our first chance, where he kind of muscled defender, I think it was Vertonghen, who really disappointed today. You felt he had a mistake in him, and Perez sort of muscled him out. And I mean, it seems unheard of that Perez is going to out muscle somebody else and get a shot away, but he just tried to curl it into across the keeper into the far post, but Lloris read it and it was a comfortable save in the end. But it was just a glimmer of, you know, what we might achieve in the final third. They had a free kick after Sissoko got fouled off Kennedy, but it didn't sort of come to anything. It was palmed away fairly comfortably by Dubravka. But then we went up the other end of the pitch and Sissoko himself fouled Gale, I think it was, on the edge of the box. And it was very close to the edge of it was very, very close to the 18. It was probably about 19 yards out, that's how close it was. And you had Ritchie and Shelvey lining up. And it was Shelvey who took it. It favoured the right foot just slightly, and he took a shot on the edge of the box, and it hit the outside of the post. It was trying to aim for the top corner, and it was so close. Lloris was completely beaten. He tried to get across there, and had that just had a little bit more accuracy, that would have potentially been 1-0 to Newcastle. And you know, we gained in confidence from that, and we realised that we were causing them a lot of problems, and there was a very nervy atmosphere. You felt that Spurs were being very complacent, and there just seemed to be. I mean, I think Newcastle smelled blood. I think they really did, and it was. I felt something was brewing. You know, we weren't really playing like. We weren't really playing like the away side, and we weren't really playing like the team who wasn't chasing Champions League football, which Spurs were. They just seemed to be all over the place. So, you know, we kept getting a bit of skill from Kennedy on the left-hand side, so, you know, fed Perez, and it was just, we were getting in behind their defenders quite a lot, and it was, I mean, I don't think Spurs really knew what to do with it, and it was brilliant to watch. It really was, and but there was just signs at the other end that, you know, Spurs, you know, for all their shakiness, still had the quality to just in a blink of an eye just turn the game. And there was a long ball played into the box, and Lascelles sort of poor clearance, and he just kind of side-footed it towards the edge of the box, and a snapshot from Wanyama, and he just skied it. But it was just maybe a little flavour of what Spurs were still capable of, the threat that they always possessed, just because, you know, they're fourth in the league, and they're a fantastic team to watch. Very attacking, very technical, and they just have the players that can change a game, and plenty of them as well. But Wanyama, it was difficult because he really wasn't having a good game. There was a lot of misplaced passes, and I think the nerves of Vertonghen at the back, the nerves of Wanyama in the middle. I just think they couldn't settle and couldn't feel safe. They almost, if they didn't push forward, and they were worried about what might happen on the counter attack, because we kept looking for opportunities to press them. And you know, Shelvey and Diame, I think, look, they were tackling really well, and actually, you know, for the whole of that first half, it was superb. It wasn't like the Newcastle that we've seen in the last 3 games. It was like the Newcastle that beat Arsenal. It's like the Newcastle that beat Leicester City. That's how good we were. And the Southampton game, and the Huddersfield game, and the Man United game, that was the Newcastle that turned up in that first half. And probably the majority, maybe less so the second half, as we lost confidence after their goal. But that was something to be really encouraged about, because it was like, mentally we'd put all those poor performances and defeats behind us, and Rafa's just got them back to think about what you're good at, go and do that again. And that's what we did. And you know, it was, you know, Diame fed Gale, who struck straight at Lloris, straight up. So that was a chance, another chance from Gale. He had about 3 tonight, and didn't really test Lloris as much as he probably should. But then Lloris has basically launched a massive ball over the top. Harry Kane's bearing down on goal, and he's gone to smash it, and he's completely air kicked it, and Dubravka kind of, you know, securely retrieves it. But again, it's just that danger that it could just blink. You know, there was a chance in it, and then from that, we then went up the other end, and then Ritchie had a chance, which I think was kind of blocked, and it just sort of rolled through to Lloris. But it was sort of, you can really get a feel of how end to end this was, and we were really giving them a game, and it's the way we should have been playing against Watford, to be honest. But again, it seems that, like Watford, the goal just sort of shattered our confidence a bit, and we as much as we had chances after that, we really struggled to get a proper foothold and to replicate that performance. But we went into half time at 0-0, and you're thinking, well, there's an opportunity. There really is an opportunity here. It was basically all about Spurs' complacency and nerves versus our determined defending, disciplined, and our ability to attack on the break and on the counter and get in behind them. But it didn't take them long in the second half to settle those nerves from the first half, and once again it was Son who had possession inside the box, lots of intricate touches, but still retained possession. And he just rolls it to Kane, and I mean, if you see the goal later on, or if you've managed to catch it on social media, there doesn't seem to be a clear shot on goal for Kane. But what he's done is, with very little backlift, he's just curled it round perfectly into the top corner. The keeper was kind of unsighted because we had defenders in the way. I kind of don't really want to blame the defenders for this goal. I think it was just an absolutely beautifully placed strike from a world-class player in Harry Kane. And from air swiping towards the end of the first half to doing that, probably with one of his first touches, but certainly his first effort in the first half. And the whole stadium probably just breathed a sigh of relief, and it seemed a little unfair, I think, from a Newcastle perspective, because I don't think at that point we really deserved to be losing. I felt that we'd gone toe to toe with them, fairly comfortably, and I think from that moment on we just kind of lost not loads, because I think we still created loads of chances in the second half. It was just our finishing that was lacking once again, and again highlighting how much we need top class Premier League strikers. I don't think Gale is that player. I don't think Hossalu's that player. As much as they both work really hard, I think Perez was really good today, and gave them a lot of problems. But I think Perez proves it with his goals and his assists, and he contributes to goals, whereas Gale and Hossalu just won't, and it's just the level that they're at. So I fully expect, and Mitrovic won't be coming back, so I fully expect two strikers to come in this summer. I mean, it all depends. I'll rephrase. That's who should be coming in, but obviously it'll all depend on transfer budget, and we all know all the political problems behind the scenes. But back to the game. So around just before the hour mark, we had a break, and we started pegging them back a little bit more. And Yedlin, we seem to use Yedlin down the right hand side quite a lot in the second half, as well as obviously we identified the left hand side, Ben Davies' left hand side, as a potential side to exploit, because most of our attacks seem to be going through that side. And Yedlin's just flashed a ball across sort of where sort of level with the penalty spot. Everyone's missed it. It's come to Dummett, who sort of just tucks it inside to Perez. Perez completely air kicks it as well, so that's 1-1 in the air kick stakes. Then it falls to Richie. Lloris comes out, sticks a leg out, and Richie goes down. He's calling for a penalty. I thought it might have been at first, but having seen the replay, I don't think it was a penalty. But it was Perez just unable, and he was on his left foot, in fairness to Perez, but he just was unable to get that shot away. And that was, just a glimmer of like these chances that we've had. We had in the first half, we had a couple of crosses that came in for headers, and Gale heading over the bar, and I think it was a Perez chance as well. So, that was it. Sorry. So there was the other chance in the first half that I missed. was a short corner played from Richie to Shelvey, who whipped it in, and Lascelles rose like a salmon, and he headed it across. Lloris has done a bit of a dive for the cameras, but he still has to get right across, and it's kind of going across to his bottom right, and he's pushed it away. So it was really, that was probably the closest we came in the first half. Apologies, I've neglected to remember that. It's it's very difficult remembering every single chance because there was so many. We had 14 shots altogether in the game, and we only got 3 on target. And I think that, as I said before, with the striking and the lack of accuracy and just a lack of working the goalkeeper, because I think there was a chance tonight that we could have taken. But so that was probably the best chance that we'd had. Beyond the sort of Shelvey free kick, but in the second half, pushing again. Shelvey started really expanding his passing range in the second half. He looked assertive. He looked to want to make things happen. And a long ball he found. I mean, just a long whipping curling ball. It was like 50 yards, 45 yards, and just landed on Kennedy's toe. It was unbelievable. So Kennedy took it past his marker, struck with his right foot, it was his wrong foot, unfortunately, and it just sort of went past the post. But it was a chance, and it just, again, another opportunity that just made Spurs think, job is not done yet, and complacency could definitely set in. So yeah, as I mentioned, Gale and Perez's runs have been, Shelvey was trying to find those in behind and knocking balls up and just asking questions and making Spurs defenders think about it or kick it out of touch or just boot it away, and just asking them questions. And we haven't been doing that enough in the last few games and the last few performances. I think we made it too easy for the likes of West Brom. We didn't have that urgency up front, and we didn't show that energy against West Brom, for example, and we did against Watford eventually, but again it was a bit too little too late. But we really showed it tonight, first and second half, and I think Shelvey was just wanting to force them into an error, and we nearly got in a couple of times, and it was just a bit of a shame. So Kennedy came off with about 20 minutes to go, possibly the last time we've ever seen him in a Newcastle shirt. Let's hope that's not the case, because we love to have him back permanently. He's basically transformed our season. We talk about the impact that the likes of Pape Cissé made when he first came, although that was next level. But the impact that Moussa Sissoko had when he first joined in January that year, and it's absolutely phenomenal. And I think Kennedy is up there with those kind of January signings where he has made just a genuine, tangible contribution to our play with assists, with important goals, and he just exudes confidence. And players see him just effortlessly beating men, and it gives the whole team a lift because they've got somebody who is reliable on the ball despite all of his flair and his dribbles and his tricks, and it's almost like their dribbles and tricks and flair but actually are functional. Like, they're not just, you get some players that are just showboaters and don't actually have the end product, but Kennedy seems to have the end product, and he's still pretty young. I think it's a must that we try and get him in. I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know there, but I would be very, very sad if I don't see Kennedy in a Newcastle strip again. Anyway, his replacement, Jacob Murphy, who started the last game and was largely underwhelming. First thing he did was burst down the left wing, and he's got Davinson Sanchez, who for my money has been one of the best young centre-backs in the Premier League this season. He's basically tore him inside. He's cut inside, he's come towards the 6-yard box, he cuts in on his right hand side. There's players queuing up, Perez wants it, Gale wants it, Richie's bursting in, and all Perez has to do is just curl it around Lloris from close range. And he's basically just gone for power instead of placement, and he's blasted it high and wide, and I thought it was going to burst the net, but it just flew into the stands, and I was absolutely gutted because it was an amazing run. Maybe he just got too tired, because he did incredibly to make one of the signings of the season. I think Davinson Sanchez has been quietly brilliant, for the last 7-8 months. He made him look absolutely daft, but he just couldn't find that finish. And again, it's these chances that we've had that we've not been able to finish, that have just meant that we haven't been able to capitalise on all this good performance. And not that we had loads of possession, we had about a third, which is probably par for the course for us away from home. But we had certainly enough chances to ask a question, and we'll due a goal. We're worth a goal, really worth a goal. Then was a corner. Corner came in, headed down, and Diarm is sort of like through on goal, and he's gone. He's completely gone for the ball to go and try and like cut it in from close range. But Trippier's done very well to get his body in the way of Diarmi and the ball, and the slow motion replay looks awful, and Trippier ended up getting quite injured. Sorry, that's just my cat really bothering us. And Diarmi's just like done a number on the back of his leg, and I mean he absolutely didn't mean to do it at all. It was a genuine attempt to go for the ball to have a shot on goal, and that was very obvious. I think he got a yellow card for it. But Trippier was really suffering towards the end, so I think there was that might have ramifications for the World Cup. But it was a chance, and Diarmi had to go for it, for my money. Again, we just continued to press. We looked really dangerous and purposeful on the attack. We just couldn't make it stick. There was a few balls in from Yedlin again, exploiting that right hand side towards the end. Hoslu came on for Gale, and we tried to find him a couple of times, but I mean, he was largely uneventful. He didn't get much he didn't see much of the ball, Hoslu, at all. Quite ineffective, but it's sort of what we've come to expect, unfortunately. There was a chance towards the end on the counter. Lamella had come on at this point, and a bit of trickery fed in Danny Rose, who happened to be in a sort of right wing position, and with his right foot, he hit it straight into Dubravka, who made a decent save, and just kept them out. I think 2-0 would have definitely been very unfair, but I think 1-0. It's difficult because I think they were very fortunate to score. Probably not. It wasn't even a clear-cut chance. It was a half chance from Kane that's ended up settling the game. I thought Diarmi was absolutely fantastic today. I'd probably give him man of the match. He was everywhere, and he was battling well and showed some really nice touches in the middle of the park. And I think him and Shelvey again showed a bit of a dominating performance in that middle third. They defended well when they needed to defend, and moving forward, they were able to play transitional passes to turn defence into attack quite quickly. So I was really pleased with their performances, and to be honest, there was very few players that played terribly tonight. I thought maybe just a bit more cutting edge from Gale, who seemed to be a focal point for us. We miss just a first class striker, somebody who can operate in the top half of one of the top 5 leagues. I think that's really what we're missing, because looking at the stats from tonight, we had 14 shots to their 11. They had 7 on target and we had 3. So they've asked more questions of Dubravka just by having fewer shots, and just a bit more savvy and a bit more potent and efficient on the ball. And we know that they like to pass it around a bit, but we really were unlucky tonight, and I think we could have held out for a 0-0 had it not been for that just gorgeous winner from Harry Kane. And if he's going to be scoring goals like that against us, I'm hoping he's going to do that for England in the World Cup, at least, because it was sublime. And he didn't seem on top form in his usual Harry Kane self for before that in the first half. So it feels quite disappointing that we haven't come away with a point from Wembley, but I think there's enough there from what we've seen in that performance tonight to act as a platform to build on, to push off from straight away and hit a crestfallen Chelsea in the last game of the season. I'd like to think we're going to create an atmosphere like we did when we smashed Spurs 5-1, even the Cardiff at the end of last season where we won the league. Obviously we're not going to reach those kind of heights of excitement, but I think we can be raucous enough and purposeful enough to really damage Chelsea, because they've got nothing left to play for. Arsenal also lost tonight, Leicester 3-1, so that means that Chelsea are pretty much secure in 5th as well, so there's not even that to play for. I think we can do them. I really do. I'm going to call it now, we're not going to end the season on a 5th straight defeat. We're not. We played too well tonight, and I think taking that back to St James's Park, they'll be able to show everyone how they've overcome what was a sticky patch. And yeah, it seems funny that me saying that, because even though we've lost tonight, but it's 1-0, and we should have drawn, and they're the 4th best team in the country, and they have one of the best strikers in the world who proved his class tonight. So let's not get too disheartened. It was a great performance by everybody and plenty to build on for the Chelsea game. I'm going to leave it there. Thanks very much for watching. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and there's a notification button there on YouTube as well, so you get the alerts for every new video that I post. I'll be doing obviously the Chelsea post-match report, but also I'll be doing a few through the summer as well, just to keep us tidied over for August. If you like to listen to this on SoundCloud and iTunes, again, please subscribe and make sure you tell everybody. If you really like the channel, if you really like the videos or the podcasts, please follow us on Twitter at The 2 Network. We're on Facebook as well. All the links are at the start and end of the video as well. Please get involved and get some comments in, because I love answering questions. I like engaging with everybody. And I'll leave it there because I'm talking too much. Right, I've been Adam. This has been The 2 Network Match Report. It's finished. Spurs 1, Newcastle 0, but plenty of encouragement for the last game. Onwards to Sunday. Cheers. Bye-bye.